So Erica is asking, Radio Liberty recently did a documentary on coercive conversions of Hindu Pakistani brides to Islam. Any thoughts on how this activity can be both effectively opposed and the effect of it on the love jihad conspiracy theorists in India mitigated so so how can this be opposed and mitigated so that the violence lessens over time? Um, well, I watched the documentary that you were talking about. If anyone's curious, it is called Inside Pakistan's Conversion Factory for Hindu Brides. It's pretty short, it's only like 13 minutes long. And it is wildly depressing. So I think it was a very good little miniature documentary. I would really suggest it to people because it brought up a lot of issues surrounding the forced conversions of Hindu girls that I hadn't maybe thought of or considered in Pakistan. So, for example, there were women who say, "Oh no, I wasn't forcibly converted, but I converted to Islam because basically there's more social mobility if I was a Muslim." Or there's someone saying, "I converted to Islam because I was promised a job if I became a Muslim," or I became a Muslim because I wanted to escape an abusive husband, or I became a Muslim because there was no one within my caste like to marry. So those were all very, very interesting reasons that are more socially influenced than I had previously thought of before. I think the issue of conversion for economic mobility um, is really striking and sad. It obviously is caused by the intense level of discrimination that religious minorities face in Pakistan. The fact that they are um, really shut off from so many opportunities because of their religion is something that shouldn't be acceptable. And this documentary also talked about different methods that the government is trying to do to combat this issue and how there are all these clerics that operate that approve these laws. So one of the things that they're trying to do is make the creation of birth certificates better in rural areas because that would help combat this issue of underage brides if they could actually more definitively define when someone was born. And then also, they actually were advocating for setting up that religious conversions can only be a mandated, not mandated, but registered with the state and not with these clerics who conduct these religious conversions, which I thought was really interesting because that's something that has been pushed for in India. And we've talked about that many times on this channel. But when it was presented in this way in Pakistan, I actually saw how this could be something that is useful and maybe would be useful in preventing harm. But at the same time, I immediately go, the government registering religious conversions, that doesn't seem good. That doesn't seem like the role of the government. But in this construction, it is to lessen harm. So I was like just thinking about that. It was interesting to me. What do you think, Armin?
Right. Before I say what I think, can you check which microphone has been selected?
Oh, okay. Just a sec.
All right. No, just tap on it.
It was the wrong one.
I know. It sounded like it was the wrong one. All right, you sound a lot better now. I didn't. You were making a lot of good points. I didn't want to interrupt that. I do want to mention that this is not love jihad, right? Love jihad is a conspiracy theory that is about. The examples that you mentioned is not even forced conversion, right? There are still conversions that is unfortunate and sad, right? The fact that you would have to do that to be able to get a job or to be able to do this or to be able to do that. But the examples that people give us are mostly the ones that, these are important, and they need to be addressed, but the ones that are a bigger issue are the kidnappings. You know what I mean? Like the forced kidnappings and
Oh, the
that
documentary
level.
did go into that too, like actual
Right,
cases
right,
of that as well.
right. But whether this level of coercion or that level of coercion, none of this is love jihad, right? Um, the the incentives behind these are more selfish, you know, and direct, evil in the way that women are just being taken advantage of, right? That is that brand of evil. It's not the brand of evil that, like, we're on a mission to increase the size of the ummah. You know what I mean? Like that is what love jihad suggests. Or like change the demographics of, I don't know, like India. I mean, when I say that, a lot of Hindus think like I'm excusing it as not a problem. We agree that this is what they're doing is evil. We're just like disagree on the brand of the evil. Like it's not like demographic engineering. That is not what's happening. Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
these women are specifically targeted because they are non-Muslims.
I know, but the intentions are more selfish. The intentions are not this like, oh, I care about increasing the size of the ummah. The intentions are like, I want you, okay? I want to make you mine, and this is how it's done. Okay, I'm not excusing it. Like, this is not a defense of these behavior. This is taking advantage of vulnerable people and trying to trap them into a system where now they're yours and they can't get rid of you, right? Like, it is still evil. I'm just saying the end goal is not like it's not like it sounds like the way a lot of Hindus speak about it is the same way that a lot of conspiracy theorists talk about this grand conspiracy of all these people being in together and doing this for the greater, what they perceive to be the greater good of increasing the size of the ummah, or like that, or changing the demographics of a nation or something like that. I don't think that level of coordination is happening. I just think like people are just being selfish and just taking advantage of women for their own personal benefit. Okay, it's still evil.
Yeah. I guess I'm pushing back because when I was watching this, I was like really hit with the sense of how much there was open disdain, dislike, and um, uh, diminishing of non-Muslims in it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an idiot in the live chat that thinks I'm defending this as well. See, even though I mentioned a couple of times that I'm not defending them, I'm just saying that there's a different brand of evil that I'm highlighting, right? I think like for a lot of Hindus who are into this conspiracy theory, they just like other far right leaning conspiracy theorists, right? Then there needs to be this giant force that they're fighting with, this great evil. It can't be individual evil, right? Of bad, examples of people like having, Hindu women, for example, being victims of individual crimes or stuff. It can't be that. It has to be this great, powerful, demonic entity that is all united and they're like in battling with this great force. You know what I mean? That's what they want to change this to, right? And it's not that. Okay, it's just individual people doing shitty things. But they like to present it like that because they have to be in a fight for good at the side, against this great evil.
It's not necessary. Well, it isn't entirely people doing things individually. There are networks throughout Pakistan that allow this to happen. People who work in networks, from clerics to paying off the police and underground situations, to
Yeah.
work a system. So
Yes, it's for their personal benefits. It's kind of like okay. So for example, let's say grooming gangs, right? The grooming gangs is also a system, okay? But they're not like, oh, let's do this so that we could like make Muslim babies and start an ummah in Europe, right? It's not that, okay? It's more like we just want to take advantage of young women and have them to ourselves. We might use religion as a weapon, but the intentions are selfish. The
Well,
intentions
again,
are not like,
targeting mostly non-Muslims.
yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
a perfect example. That those are they're targeting non-Muslims. They're using religion as a weapon, but they're not like, oh, we don't care about. It's not. This is not sexual. We're just like we're doing this for Allah. We're like trying to make Europe Muslim. That's not. That's not. That's not the conspiracy. Okay, they're just being shitty people. Okay, these are individuals that are using religion as a way to just take advantage of women. Right? There's not this grand conspiracy of like this greater good. I mean, good by, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying. Okay.
No. I just wanted to push back on you because I feel like just a little bit because
No, that's good. Your
yeah,
example was a really good one. Actually, made my point.
yeah. Ego is asking, the real issue is how does one determine a willing conversion from a coercive one?
It's not
This
black and
is-
white. It's not black and white. You have degrees, right? So if you get kidnapped, right, and then forced to get converted to Islam, that's like one level of coercion. If you get like, hey, you might get this job if you convert to Islam, it's more likely. Okay, that
is a form of coercion.
that's also a form of coercion, but maybe not to the same degree. Okay, because I don't know, the consequences of one of them might be a beating. The consequences of the other one might be like you don't get this job, right? So they're both coercion, but it's not like it's a spectrum. Okay, it's not 0 and 100.
Actually, there have been issues in Pakistan where men were accused of blasphemy because they were invited to Islam to get jobs and they refused. So then there were charges brought against them, which is a charge that carries the death penalty. It's so messed up.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah.
Wait, they refused to do what?
They refused to convert to get a job. They were accused of blasphemy, charged with blasphemy. That's a charge that carries the death penalty.
Amazing. Well, refusing to convert to Islam is not blasphemy, even by Islamic standards. They just added
No,
that.
but like the way that they did it was so insulting or some bullshit. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Atheist Republic needs your help. We've been the target of many legal attacks by Hindu nationalists ever since our founder, Armin Navabi, blasphemed against Hindu deities. We have retained legal counsel to help us defend our access to our community in India. We have started a fundraiser that will help us afford to tackle many legal issues, including judicial harassment and censorship. Whatever you can contribute will go a long ways in helping us in this fight. Link in the description below.